Hi, everybody. My name's Brian, and one thing I find myself doing a lot is going on websites such as MTG Goldfish here and taking a look at decks that I own and seeing how other people are piloting them. For example, here we have a deck that I play quite often, Dredge. Now, recently, Dredge has really taken the form that you're seeing before you, the one that's playing a million rainbow lands, fast lands, is not even playing Life of the Loam, really isn't even playing green anymore. And it's a very explosive version of Dredge that really relies on Ox of Agonis. But if you look at many of the modern leagues, as I do, and challenges and all the other decks, sometimes you'll find a version of a deck that you own and play that's a little different from the stock version. And stock in this case, I normally consider the ones you see when you scroll down and you see these breakdown of creatures, spells, lands, sideboard. This is the version of the deck you're most likely to run into, I normally find. But during my exploration of the modern leagues, I believe, I found this Dredge deck by Sam Lewin. Apologies if I'm saying your name wrong, and if you're watching this, bravo. So this version of the deck brought green back, but it's not the really old school version of Dredge that some of you who have been playing it for quite a while, or at least have been playing Modern for quite a while, know. It's playing Otherworldly Gaze. It's kind of taking the best of all worlds and trying to create this version of Dredge with Wonder, a creature that states if it's in your graveyard and you have access to an island on the battlefield, all of your creatures fly. So all of your prized amalgam, silver smoke ghouls, oxes, they all fly now. So that is what he's attempting to do with this version of the deck. Now, how does this version of the deck change from this version? Well, first of all, land type matters. So now we need to have islands, and this takes the form of 2 steam vents and a whole bunch of fetches to make sure you can go get the island when you need it. Now, it still has some rainbow lands, Dredge always tends to, and his sideboard really seems to be more old school than most I've seen. Leyline of Sanctities to stop things like Nile spell bombs and hand disruption, Ancient Grudge to take out artifacts, Thoughtseize to go up against things like combo and control, Prismatic Ending to just a good all-around answer. This is a 5-color deck at this point, and for Nature's Claims, never leave home without them. But I picked this deck up, I started playing it online, and I just couldn't wrap my head around it. There were parts of the deck that I could see are really powerful, and there were parts of the deck that I just didn't agree with. So I started tuning, and where this ended up is the deck you see before you. Now, while it is very clearly related to the deck I just showed you on MTG Goldfish, it also... I think it has 10 different cards at this point, based on my own personal play style, and that's something I really try and tell people when they pick up Magic. You don't have to get good at playing the stock lists. You can tune it, and while it might not be the most winningest deck out there, you might be better at it than, say, the stock list, because you're not in the other guy's head who went 5-0 in the league with the deck. You're not 1,000% sure what he was doing, so why not tune the deck a bit? So what has happened here is I completely got rid of Shriekhorn. I found myself siding it out pretty much in every game. Whether that's right or wrong, it's what I was doing. I couldn't quite understand having Silver Smoke Ghouls over Bloodghasts if you were playing Life from the Loam, considering that you might as well get the benefit of a creature that can come back over and over and over again and have a little bit more of a grindy setup. Now, that could also be wrong. I also put in the 4th Thrilling Discovery and 4th Narcomoeba. Now, as far as other things that were added, I added in a 3rd Ox of Agonis, as I feel this version of the deck that's not running 4 Bloodghasts, that is kind of leaning more on blue and flying over stuff, needed a backup plan a lot more often than the other more explosive version of Dredge with all the rainbow lands. Still keeping 1 Conflagrate, and this is where my whole adventure started, wanting to see if Wonder was even good in a Dredge deck, and we'll get into that as we get into gameplay. But other than that, this is pretty stock. 3 Golgari Thug, 4 Stinkweed Imp, 4 Prized Amalgam, 4 Cathartic Reunions. Sideboard I did change up a bit as well. I only have 3 Nature's Claims. I'm actually finding that the graveyard hate I'm running into these days isn't as much artifact and enchantment based as it is Ashiok, Dorothy Voidwalker, or artifacts that they just pop anyway the moment you target them. So 2 Ancient Grudges, I kept the 4 Thoughtseizes. This is another thing I wanted to try along with the 3 Leyline of Sanctities to see if I could get anyone with a Leyline of Sanctity. I also added in one Prismatic Ending when I cut a Nature's Claim, because I've just found with Void Walkers and Ashiok's running around that Prismatic Ending is just a little bit more versatile, a little bit better. So what am I looking to do here today? So I thought about just running it through a league, but I'm not happy yet with my mana base. Now, you can also tell here, my mana base is different from Sam's version that we were looking at before. I have 2 Triomes. I just want to see if they're good. I mean, they're tap lands in Dredge, which historically don't sound great, but I'm only running 4 1-drops anyway. So if I don't happen to have an Otherworldly Gaze in my opening hand, and you have to mulligan pretty aggressively with Dredge in order to make it work, sometimes going out and getting the Island for Wonder or the white for Thrilling Discovery along with 2 other useful mana types, pretty much red is normally a mono red deck with a couple other tricks thrown in there, might be helpful. I also changed the City of Brasses to Mana Confluences. That's purely a functionality thing on Magic Online. City of Brass, once you tap it, you can't undo it, because the tapping and the making of mana are 2 different abilities. So once you tap City of Brass on Magic Online, you can't untap it, whereas with Mana Confluence, you can. So that's just to stop me from punting. But functionality and paper, they're identical, unless your opponent can somehow tap your lands and deal you damage. Still 2 Gemstone Mine. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... 6, 7, 8 fetches to go get an array of shocks. As you can see here, we have 2 Stomping Grounds, 1 Steam Vent, 1 Sacred Foundry. It used to have 2 Steam Vents and a Blood Crypt, but again, I'm trying out the Triome. So rather than jump into a league when the deck isn't quite there, I thought maybe it would be interesting for you guys to come along for the ride and see how I tune decks. I know a lot of people who are very good at Magic, but generally, until a new list comes out, and I'm very guilty of this myself as well, they don't experiment as much as maybe they should. And because I'm so comfortable playing Dredge and so comfortable losing games, I figured, why don't we hop in a couple of games, play with the deck a little bit, and see how we do. Now, if we go runner, I might join a couple of single queues to see if I can beat people who are a little bit more aggressive, shall we say, than the practice rooms. But let's see how it goes and see how we enjoy ourselves. So join me, won't you? And you can tell we're merely testing because we want a die roll. Go ahead and get this out of the way. All right, so our hand has a Dredger and 2 shocks, but it has no red card. Now, with Dredge, you really can throw back all the way to 4 and not feel too much of a sting. This deck a little bit less so because the mana base is kind of fiddly, but we'll go ahead and mull and see how we do. All right, this is patently worse. Mull again. Okay, this has no Dredger, but oof, our opponent also mulled to 6. Let's see if they also mulled to 5. The problem with this is, okay, so we put back Narcomoeba and probably Thrilling Discovery, but if we don't find a land, we're just dead. This is another thing I'm still tuning with this deck on. You don't get 2 lands enough to really, feel good taking this into a league and feeling like you're not just going to scrub out or get lucky. All right, so we can actually make this work. So here's how you keep a 4-card hand with Dredge. So in this case, we can go ahead and put the Shock back, a Bloodstained Mire back, and Wonder we don't want in our hands anyway. So while this is looking far from ideal, having a red card, a Dredger, and 2 lands is exactly what we need to get our engine going. So let's go through the turn here. And this is exactly where I thought having the Triomes would be great, because I'm probably going to go out and get the Teamer Triome, whatever it's called. And that allows us to have both green, red, and just an island there if we ever do flip Wonder into the bin. All right, our opponent plays a basic Swamp on their turn. And Inquisitions. Okay, so this is one of the problems. We did mull to 4. So our opponent's correct in doing this. Thrilling Discovery is obviously going away. There is no world where they put Golgari Thug into the bin. But now we are a little behind the 8 ball. If we happen to draw another red card, and we have 7 more. We have 8 in total. We're still fine if we draw a... What's the blue card? Otherworldly Visions. That's also fine. What? They grab Golgari Thug. Okay, so I think this is a situation where our opponent, and for some reason I was mulling through their entire turn instead of to the end step because I'm bad at Magic, clearly wasn't... They must not have played against Dredge much. We'll go ahead and get this, and then we'll throw Arid Mesa out, taking way more damage than we should. Okay, 2 Narcomoebas come into the field. So That's also a thing about the practice rooms, is sometimes you run into people who just don't know what's going on. Dredge is not as ubiquitous and modern as it once was, but they kind of just handed us an amazing start. They must not know, like, Golgari Thug's not a... well, I guess it is a combo piece, but it's not the way they think it is. So the problem here now is we don't have enough cards to Thrilling Discovery away the Thug because we need 2 in hand, but our opponent also handed us a free 5 power on the board turn 2, so that's on them. All right, we'll go ahead and pass to our opponent, and this time, because we're smart, we're going to yield until the next end step. These are also good behaviors to get into if you're going to, like, play for money. Thoughtseize. Now, clearly you won't make the mistake again. So, okay, folks, if you're watching at home and you're playing a black deck against Dredge, do not... oh, unless they have like an extra pate or something. If they have an extra pate, I'm wrong. Oh no, because it's 8-rack. That's so interesting. I still feel like they did it incorrectly here, so we might as well go get the Ketra and go get our other colors. So what, we take 2 now? The thing is, yeah, Creeping Chill is a card. So I honestly haven't played this matchup. I played Dredge for a while, at multiple times in my life, and I've never quite done it this way. So it's a bit of a race. Luckily, we have Creeping Chills to try and keep our life up the more racks they get down. I find it so interesting that they, like, because if they had just put Thrilling Discovery in the grave and forced us to hold on to Golgari Thug, we wouldn't have dredged it all this game. So I'm not 1,000,000% sure what our opponent's thinking. I think 8-rack plays things like Surgical Extraction in the main, try and, like, nab multiple things out of the hands. But that doesn't seem to be what this person's up to. Okay, so before their end step, we'll go ahead and Otherworldly Gaze in case we find a Narc Amoeba. We didn't find one, but we can get these guys in the bin. All right, now we take 1. Oh no, they have something? Is there an instant speed? What are they doing? Was there an instant speed discard too? Oh no, I guess they were just yielding through the turn. Okay, so now things are really getting out of hand. Dredge is doing Dredge things. All right, so white and red. I think we Thrilling Discovery and we Ox next time, as we'll use the one we have in our hand. So Stinkweed Imp, flip 5 again, and then we can probably Thug. Didn't actually hit anything other than a Wonder, so our Prized Amalgam is now flying. Now here's the thing, if next turn they just play a Ensnaring Bridge, we're actually a little SOL. 8-rack's starting to come back to me, and I think they do play Ensnaring Bridge. So here comes all the other Prized Amalgams. All right, those are in play now. Let's see what our opponent does if they just scoop. This is also a thing about Dredge, is you tend to be pretty dominant game 1, and it's game 2 and 3 where you really have to try and decide what you're doing against your opponent. Okay, so here it comes. What do you have? Mind Wrench. I would love to discard 2 Stinkweed Imps. Nothing sounds better. All right, so our opponent clearly just must not know how to play against Dredge, which... again, it's not a terribly common deck anymore. Yep, there's game 1. They might scoop the whole thing. I know a lot of people who are not super into Modern sometimes just don't know about it. We have a lot for them in the side, though. So what do we want to take out? They don't really have a ton of creatures, as I recall, because they kind of spend a lot of their time wrathing. So I don't know if Wonder's even good in this matchup. If they gum up the field... Wonder is really here in case they gum up the field, and then we can fly over a whole bunch of tokens. And sometimes they play Lingering Souls, but Lingering Souls tokens fly anyway, and they play things like Bitter Blossom. Again, those fly anyway. So with my limited memory of 8-rack, we're going to take the 2 Wonders out, even though this is the entire reason why I was testing this deck. From there, we probably want to bring in Leyline of Sanctities, because fun fact, the rack targets an opponent. Prismatic Endings are always good. Nature's Claims are also good. Ancient Grudges are also fine. Prismatic... I feel like Prismatic Endings is just better than Nature's Claims these days. I don't know how much we want to take out, though. You can nip some Golgari Thugs. They don't really do a ton. So there's our takeout pile. We kind of want all of our Oxes. We like our Prized Amalgams. We like our Narc Amoebas. We could cut a red card and go down to 7 red cards. That's how this deck was. So I think we can go with Nature... Actually, we'll go with Prismatic Endings, because that'll nip everything. We'll go with the Nature's Claim. We have a game to lose. Let's see if that's enough, if 4 pieces of Anti-Hate are enough. All right, now, again, our opponent should choose if he wants to go first or not. So he should actually choose... Yeah, he chooses not to play, which is the correct way to do it. So this is actually an easy throwback. So these Narcomoebas don't actually count as cards in our hand. Okay, I don't think we can keep this either. So mull down to 4 for a second time. Ooh, dear. So you really don't want to mull to 3. You can't really come back from mulling to 3. However, we don't have 2 lands, which means we could just sit here and kind of die. Now, the thing is, our opponent has been doing us favors and taking kind of the wrong cards out of our hand for us. So who knows? Maybe our opponent will continue to hand disruption us and just kind of hand us that. All right, so we need to put 2 to the bottom. So definitely Narcomoeba, because that doesn't do anything in hand. Actually, probably Oxyvagonus. It's a long way before that's going to do anything. All right, so we're helping our opponent do all sorts of things here, because we pretty much kept the least amount of cards possible. All right, so this should be like the Racker Shrieking Affliction or something. Oh, well, the good news for us is there's no right answer. Actually, I guess Bloodghast is the best thing they could pick up. I mean, I'm so torn, because like we could kind of go off, but with 1 land, you never actually are able to do anything. You kind of need 2 lands. So they take Loam, which is fine. I'm going to go for a draw here and see if we can just flip a land naturally into our hand. If I can, we're fine. So I'm not cracking Wooded Foothills on purpose because I want the most amount of lands in the deck. The worst thing would be for us to draw our tap land. All right, let's see what we get. No, please just hand me a land. Narcomoeba. Okay, so I'm incorrect. The worst thing is for the game to hand us no card. Because now Narcomoeba is stranded in our hand and it's never leaving. There's a Thoughtseize. Narcomoeba is the correct answer. Putting in Bloodghast, and it's so tempting. I think we need to try and draw one more time. Our opponent's not doing anything yet, and if we draw land, we can really go to the races. So, come on, land. Otherworldly Gaze. Okay, that's actually fine. So, we'll just pass now, and the moment they try and do anything, we can Otherworldly in response off the Steam Vent. And then hopefully that can find us our second land. Smallpox. Ay, okay. I guess we have to Otherworldly now, because we're going to lose our land. Get our Steam Vents. Now we have to draw 2 lands, which isn't good. I mean, sure. See if we do anything about it. Maybe we flip over a Narcomoeba, we get to keep one of our creatures. Otherworldly Gaze. Nope. Although we don't want any of these in our hand. So you guys are now going to see Plan B, which is Brian does a Manaless Dredge impersonation. In fact, Brian's going to do a Having Nothing impersonation. So what's the best setup we can have here? Because we only have 3 more Narcomoebas in the deck. So the best thing that could happen is we start flipping over Creeping Chills, Narcomoebas, and Prized Amalgams, and just start getting those on the field. Now, here's where our opponents, or rather where the guy who originally created this deck was right to have the Silver Smoke Ghouls, because I'm not going to have any lands to stop, or to get my Bloodghast back. So the Silver Smoke Ghouls in this particular instant are better than Bloodghasts. I am a big enough man to say that. I think maybe my perception of Bloodghast might also be a little skewed, because I played Dredge for the longest time with Bloodghast. So I might just be associating Bloodghast with good times I personally had with it. All right, if that's his entire turn, that's not the worst, because we are now doing a Manaless Dredge impersonation, and we have 2 Stinkweed Imps to try and get done with this. All right, a Creeping Chill, and if that Bloodghast was a Silver Smoke Ghoul, which we might try later today, it would actually work better. Who knows? So this is where our opponent would like to put down a Rack or something. He taps and does nothing. I'm not entirely sure what's up with our opponent, but hey, I won't look a Gift Horse in the mouth. Stinkweed Imp again. Okay, there's the Narcomoeba, which means we get some creatures back. And while this turn we don't do anything, next turn we can start hitting them pretty hard. Urborg. Interesting. For all those lands we have, we can turn them into swamps. Liliana, that's fine. I mean, don't tick it up, man. You absolutely want to tick it. Yeah, that's what I thought. We actually get rid of Prized Amalgams because those can come back. We only have 2 more Narcomoebas in the deck. Narcomoeba just straight up doesn't come back. All right. Stinkweed Imp. No dice on this particular one. So we'll go in, we'll kill Lily with Narcomoeba, and we'll hit our opponent for 3. and we forgot to attack our opponent because I was too busy reading what our opponent was doing. And this is such a sloppy game. That's one of the problems. You can tell the difference between the clocks of my opponent and me, and I will admit sometimes I get distracted. So my opponent's taking kind of long between actions, and I just forgot what I was doing. At least we killed Liliana. You know, I feel like Thoughtseize, sure. Opponent, the correct answer is Narcomoeba. Yeah. So if we lose by 3, that's on Brian for not clicking attack with Prized Amalgam. Took Stinkweed Imp or another Smallpox. Raven's Crime. Unless they have a rack right now. Okay, Shrieking Affliction. I mean, our opponent's not doing anything, and we have 4 power on the board, so I don't feel that bad. Stinkweed Imp. Okay, we found the Creeping Chill, essentially undoing Brian's misplay last turn. Alright, so they would essentially be dead to a Creeping Chill if I had not forgotten to attack, but hey. Looks like we're still gonna get there, unless, because like, if they draw a land this turn, then the next turn they can draw Damnation and stop us from winning. But, you know, we're against 8-rack, we have 4 cards in hand. We have 2 creatures on the field. So they probably drew remove. Oh no, they just drew a land, and for some reason they didn't Raven's Crime. I guess they finally realized that letting us put Stinkweed Imps back into the yard's a bad idea. Okay, so it looks like we'll get to take this anyway, despite me punting a field goal. But yeah, you can kind of see the power of the deck. You can also see that this deck can have a backup plan of just working on absolutely no lands. In fact, there are entire versions of this deck that do that. They're manaless. And pretty much you always want to keep a 7-card hand and then draw and immediately go to discard on turn 1. There's a legacy version that does that. That's not what this is supposed to do. This deck is functioning despite that. So yeah, we'll just wait for our opponent to click OK, and then we are off to back to tuning to see how we kind of feel about things. All right, and there we have it. Back to tuning. Okay, so I opted just to hop into another game rather than go to tuning, because that last game didn't really give us anything to work off of. Wow, 2 in a row, we win the die roll. It did show us that we could win mulling aggressively and just pulling stuff out of our deck, and I think that goes to show... I have to throw this back. Oh man. So just pretend the Creeping Chills aren't there, and it's really easy to throw this back. Okay, we can keep this. So the Triumph goes back because it comes into play tapped. And do we nip Otherworldly Gaze or the Thug? So because this is modern and first turn hand disruption is so prevalent, I'm actually going to get rid of the Thug and hope that turn 1, the Otherworldly Gaze just gives me other things to flip into the bin. We have a stop on our upkeep because sometimes you want to Otherworldly Gaze from your bin. So we'll go ahead and untap and just pass the turn. Otherworldly Gaze being an instant lets us kind of go off at our own speed. Opponent seems to be on a version of Tron. Could be a brew. We are in the practice rooms. Could also just be normal, something off the wall. Okay, so we found the Thug, which is great. We might as well throw all these in the bin at this point because we're just going to put Thug in our hand. Oh, we can't Thrilling Discovery. Oh, we don't have white mana. Oh, this is why you practice. I'm so bad at this game. Okay, so we're going to have to Otherworldly Gaze instead. We do get to play this and put our Bloodghast into play. This is an instant where Bloodghast is better. We can Conflagrate. I don't think that's a correct move right now. I think it's better to Otherworldly Gaze and either try and find the white source or just put 3 more cards in the bin. Okay, so it looks like this is just regular old Tron, which is a good thing to go up against. So Tron v Dredge is a pretty even matchup, I find. If they find Ugin, it's really hard to win, but it's not impossible. Where's this tower? Okay, so they're probably going to have Tron on turn 3. Ah, love those mismatching Tron pieces. Chromatic Sphere. All right, so we go ahead, and at this point, we can just flashback Gaze. So looks like we're on full Ox mode. So we'll go ahead and Otherworldly Gaze on our upkeep, because we don't have enough cards to Ox immediately. We could still find... Okay, so there's a Wonder... Okay, so Wonder and Creeping Chill definitely just go in the bin. The question is, do we want to put Cathartic in the bin? No, I guess we do want to cast Ox next turn rather than... Oop! And by that I mean we're putting it on top and we're doing it the other way! Man, the amount of times I punt when I'm in a practice room. Okay, so we drew Cathartic Reunion. Not the worst thing to draw in case they like somehow magically find Graveyard Hate. That's what I was doing. I was playing around Graveyard Hate. All right. So we'll go ahead and swing in for 3. Next turn, they can probably go off, but we have multiple ways of doing things. Plus, all of our stuff flies. So even if they find something big, we do have one more turn to try and go over them. Oh, they're just getting Greenland. So they don't... Unless they're Sylvan Scrying? Oof. Okay, so next turn is the turn they get to go off. So we have to kind of hope our Cathartic is just really, really good. Or we find a land. So this is the moment where I wonder if this particular version of the deck should be running Boseiju. Exiling the Bloodcast. Oh, the disrespect. Okay, nothing we can do in our upkeep. Nothing we can draw. Ooh, we found a land. Okay, so our plan might change a bit now. So we'll go white-red, Thrilling Discovery. Yes. Imp, Thug. Imp, oof. Swing and a miss, Thug. Swing and a miss, and we have to draw off the top. We draw an Ox. Wonderful. Okay, so we're going to get some things into play. We have 2 prized amalgams. We might not be going fast enough, but we did get to draw Gemstone Mine, so we have other colors now, which might come into play. So if they have Ugin, that's probably game. If they just have Wormcoil Engine, it's probably fine. Because they're at 13, we have 8 on board, and we draw 1, and then we just conflagrate them out of the game. So Ugin would be really bad. Karn wouldn't be great. Wormcoil doesn't win it. O-Stone wouldn't even be that bad because we can start trying to loop some of our stuff. We can also just Ox and kind of take it from there. Just playing Boseiju. Interesting. Is this a Thragtusk? Thragtusk in the main. Okay, so they get to survive another turn, I think. But we fly. So this is where Wonder's coming into its own. Now, they still have 3 mana. They can do a lot with 3 mana. But... yeah, a Thragtusk when we have Wonder in the bin isn't going to do it. That, however, is going to do it. But they're out of mana, so they only get to exile... Ooh, oh no. Okay. Well, I'm super glad we have Cathartic in our hand now. So we lose flying, which is annoying because both of our Wonders are in the bin. Our opponent's at 18, and they have a Thragtusk. So things have gotten worse, but luckily for us, we have a Cathartic Union in hand. Life from the Loam. And that's also how we're going to... get this Gemstone Mine back once it kind of runs out. But luckily for us, we have a Cathartic in hand due to a punt, which now looks like forward thinking. All right, sweet. All right, even better. Could not have asked for a better pull. So we just get to absolutely dunk a whole bunch of damage. I suppose we should have done that after we attacked to get our prized amalgam back. That's obviously going to die now, but it'll come back next turn when we Ox. Unless they have another... relic in their hand. So they're down to 4. Oh, it's going to come back anyway. Okay, so it's fine. I love how forgiving dredge decks like this are, because I can sit here and punt all day and my creatures still come back. So worst thing could be is if they do Ancient Stirrings and try and find another hate piece. I don't know how many hate pieces they're playing main board. I guess if they're playing Urza Saga, it might be 2, because you could just use them as redraws. Is it another Thragtusk? Oh man, they are really, really pushing us on that one. And a Ballista. Okay, so the Ballista is just going to take out... it's going to block something, and then it's going to take out an Archamoeba, which is fine, because we have 3 prized amalgams anyway. So we're only going to deal them 2 damage next turn, other than any kind of other just off-the-top damage. 1 Bloodghast is gone. All the Creeping Chills are gone. 3 Narcomoebas. So there's 1 Narcomoeba still on the deck. Let's pick up. Thug. Prized amalgam is Stinkweed. Okay, so we attack first, and now we have to think how many turns it's going to take to kill them. Because they're really only going to take 2 on this go. And we only have 12 left in our deck, so the question is how many cards do we want to flip over? Because if they have Ugin, we still die. We're definitely Oxing, but we're going to see how many we want to try and flip at that point. So exiling 8, we could definitely just exile red cards. We can exile lands at this point. We can exile Narcomoeba. We're not really loaming. 1 more. We can even just nip a loam. All right, that's fine. All right, so there's 1 Narcomoeba left. And that's really all we're looking for. So we'll start with an Imp. Okay, we found the Narcomoeba. So a Loam, and then we'll just pick up. We found the Bloodghast. Oh, that's so brutal. All right, but we found the last Narcomoeba. So this is the best we could do right now. And hopefully this is enough. We have a couple of turns still. I'll just yield through all that. To try and kind of push through. If they exile our stuff again, we're pretty much just done because we only have 3 cards in our deck. If they don't exile our entire board at this point, we're actually pretty fine. But if they just top deck Ugin, then they top deck Ugin. There's nothing we can do about that. Relic, that's fine. All of the stuff we want's on board. And our opponent scoops it up. Okay, so against Tron. Now, Dredge really doesn't interact with Tron. It just kind of tries to go against it. So I guess the Nature's Claims are good and the Ancient Grudges are good. Because we're just trying to knock them off tempo. The Wonders are actually pretty good in this matchup because going over them is how we win. Now, is 3 Oxes too many? I don't think the answer is yes. I think we can nip the Thugs like normal because we need the Loams to do the Bloodghasts. But what do we nip at that point? Maybe it is an Ox. Maybe it is an Ox and a Otherworldly Gaze, and that gives us quite a bit of hate, while also not entirely dismantling our, Bloodghast, Narcomoeba, Ox of Agonis package. So let's see how that does. Really no reason to bring in Leyline. All their stuff affects the entire board anyway. We have Hate in hand, we have Otherworldly Gaze in hand, we have Loam in hand. This is not super fast, but it's fine. We're also most likely to lose this game because they get to have Tron before we get to really go off. So first turn, Arid Mesa into Steam Vent. Drew the Bloodghast grid for us. So we'll go ahead and Yield Throw a turn, and we'll just wait to see what they do. Versus Power Plant, Sylvan Scrying. I'm a Mighty Wizard. Okay, so they have Tron. We do get 1 turn, though. So we'll go ahead and get Steam Vents. We'll Otherworldly Gaze. Don't want any of this. Okay, no Dredger in the yard, which isn't good. We just draw off the top, and we hopefully don't draw a free card. A Mountain. Mountain's not even that bad. So, I think we play Stomping Ground. Take 2. And then we'll loam back some lands. So land, land, land. So this is even better now because we get to discard something. And we're going to go ahead and discard the Bloodghast. So next turn, at the end of it, we'll have 5 power in play. That being said, if they just kind of go off here, Harn. Okay. So the correct thing for them to do now is to take a land. Yeah. Luckily, our hand is full of lands. So that's not a major problem. We get to Dredge Loam. Didn't really find anything. Our 2 Bloodghasts are in the bin now, though. Unfortunately for us, they won't be doing much. So here's the question. I guess we do Loam again, and then we can kind of like sneak Ox into the bin. Because they're going to have to plus up Karn, and hopefully our beatdown is fast enough. Now, if they have multiple things in their hand, they have multiple things in their hand. So we do have a second Stomping Ground, so we'll just play out Bloodstained Mire, say yes to both Bloodghasts, which will put the Prized Amalgam into play. We'll get the other Stomping Ground, and one of those, and one of those, and Loam back 3 lands again. And again, we get to put things we want in the bin. So in this case, we don't need Narcomoeba. We'll go ahead and put Ox in the bin as well. They have Super Tron. They have Tron with multiple towers. All right, so you need to exile something from our hand. We can get rid of a fetch. Pretty much we're just ignoring Karn at this point because they can like snap 1 thing a turn. Please don't be Ugin. Ugh. So that's probably the game because they can just -3 and wipe our board. Yeah. Don't know how we come back from this, but we're going to play it out a little bit longer to see if they do anything strange, or if it's just a stock Tron list. Here are my Narcomoeba. So go ahead and play the Triumph tapped, and we could just loam the 1 thing again, but then we have no... Actually, I think we have something to dredge in the yard. We don't need that land in our hand right now, and we could just Otherworldly Gaze if they try anything funny and try and get stuff into play before they start really taking us down, because they're going to start bolting us in the face for 3 each turn, which kind of means that we can never get enough of our stuff down for where Ugin doesn't, just exile everything. If we had a lot more in our graveyard, we would be able to, we can get rid of the Gemstone Mine. We would be able to, get Ox down, and that's kind of hard for Ugin to get rid of, but the fact that they already got to bolt us and they can just get rid of that without trying, it's a thing. All right, so we'll go ahead and blue and that, and Otherworldly Gaze. Narcomoeba, Sacred Foundry. Are we Catharticing? I think we can I think that's our best bet. So we'll put Cathartic on top. Get another Narcomoeba. Just draw. And then this is white and black. Get rid of this. We get rid of this. We do this. Discard Loam. Discard Mountain. Loam. Loam. And no 3rd Dredger. Another Ancient Grudge in our hand. Not bad. I mean, the Creeping Chill is kind of nice. Once Ugin ultimates, though, that's kind of game over. We'll just attack the guy. I mean, it's a super long shot that we, surprise him in this way, but it's not impossible. I mean, we do have 3... We do have a lot of power in play. He'll probably just down Ugin again 3, which is the correct move. And that's the other thing, too. Exiling our things as opposed to putting them in the bin for us to... Yep, there goes. For us to try and Ox back is a major blow. Yeah, still have plenty of lands to get rid of. Another Karn. Oh boy. All right. Well, we've learned this is Stocktron, and I'm starting to think there's not much more that would be, there's not more worthwhile learning here. So enough of that. So here's where we really have to go off. So is there anything we just want to like give up on? I guess we can give up on Nature's Claim and just hopefully win before that becomes a problem, because they seem very, very Planeswalker driven. The 2 Ancient Grudges. I mean, do we just go... I guess we kind of need some sort of hate, just in general. Yeah, I mean, let's try it like this. Let's try with just 2 Ancient Grudges and see if that's enough. Because really, we have turn 1 and 2 to try and really set up. This is not going to do that. This can. We'll put back Creeping Chill, because that's a free card, and we don't want that in our hand. We have 2 red cards and a Dredger and 2 lands, so that's pretty much as ideal as this deck gets. So we'll play Bloodstained Mire and just pass. And if Brian's smart, he'll remember to get the Triome that has white and black in it so that he can cast Thrilling Discovery next turn. All right, playing nothing would be great. No turn 1 play. That's good for us. This guy has always kept hands that do Tron turn 3, though. As you're supposed to, truth be told. What do we draw? Bloodstained Mire. Do we get another land out of our hand, or do we just play Stomping Ground? Because we're discarding the Prized Amalgam and the Stinkweed Imp. I guess there's no problem in getting another land out of our deck. Go ahead and get... just the Steam Vents. Our life total doesn't really matter. Thrilling Discovery. Yes, so I'd like to use its ability. Get rid of these 2. So hopefully in the top 5 there's a second Dredger. There is not. And we draw a Narcomoeba, which is not good news. We do a little bit of damage, though, which is fine. And next turn we get to go again. Alright, so here's where they should do... I wonder if they just have Natural Tron in their hand. Alright, draw something good. That's not that bad. So I think the first thing we do is Cathartic Reunion. Hopefully in the top 5 we find a second Dredger this time. We do. Okay, only 1 chill. And hopefully... well, next turn they can't play Ugin. They can kind of punish us a bit, though. We still have things we can fetch, so we might as well just play out Wooded Foothills. Okay, and we'll just swing with these guys. If they kill the Prized Amalgam, I shouldn't have played Bloodghast yet, but I don't think they're going to now. Okay, so now we get 2 guys back. So we're set up with lethal unless they really do something cool next turn. And they can. They can have Tron, and I guess have all his dust would be really annoying. Warping Whale. Oh no, they're gonna just have Ugin anyway? Oh no. So now they play the 3rd Tron land, they sacrifice the Eldrazi Scion token, and they have Ugin. That's a blowout. Unless they just played the Eldrazi Scion token because it was their out if they top decked Ugin. We could just see a scoop here. Opponent's thinking it over, so I think if they had Ugin, they would just slam Ugin. Because just slamming Ugin and exiling all of our threats seems really good. They are at 10, so if we find our other Bloodghast, it has haste, but that's only a 2-1. And didn't they exile one of our Bloodghasts? No, those are 2 Creeping Chills. That must have been a previous game. Here comes a Forest, so it's not going to be Ugin. A grand total of 4 mana, so it's not... is Thragtusk 5 mana or 4? Thragtusk would be kind of annoying, but we fly. We're only showing 12 damage on board, though, so... I guess if they have a Thragtusk, that does actually allow them to survive a little bit longer. Sylvan Scrying. They already played a land this turn, though. I think that's the game, unless I'm missing something, because again, my guys fly. Do we want to Otherworldly Gaze? I guess we can Otherworldly Gaze after we loam. Or Thug, rather. So, Thug. There's Ox of Agonis. There's also a Bloodghast. And the Bloodghast would have haste. I don't know what they could possibly do to get out of this, so maybe I'll leave a guy in the bin. Alright, and here's where having all of our guys fly works. No blocking whatsoever. They can have, like, Spatial Contortion or 2 Dismembers, I suppose. Dismember isn't really profitable at this exact juncture. Nope, that's just the match. Okay, so what I'm learning here thus far is I got the deck tuned pretty good against 8-Rack and Tron. I'm surprised how well it's going. Is there anything we want to change? It still doesn't always have everything it needs in its opening hands. Like, there's 22 drops and only 18 lands. Now, luckily for me, I'm a hoarder, so if you look over here, we have all different types of Dredge going on. How much is... so Thrilling Dredge is a very old version. That was playing 19 lands. Let's see, what else do we have here? Life Gain Dredge, that was playing 19 lands. Old School Dredge was playing 20 lands. And what I call Blue Dredge is playing 18 lands. That's a pickle. I feel like we're not getting 2 lands as often as I would like, but we're also winning games, so who am I to say? Let's go ahead and go for a 3rd game and see if we're just running, you know, runner, and this deck is actually ready to kind of be taken into prime time, or are we just getting lucky and we're just waiting for, you know, someone to stomp us down. But 8-rack, kind of a fringe deck. Tron, that's a real thing that we've beat. So let's go ahead and take another dip, see how we do. All right, folks, here we are going into a third one. Our opponent has won the die roll. We are back to nature is healing. Brian is losing die rolls. This hand has a loam, and it has a turn 1 play in getting a triome, but I think we can do better. We have like 2 mulligans before it's a problem. This is not better. This is worse. All right, and here is the ultimate test of our tap lands. All right, so we'll put Creeping Chill back. We'll put Ox back. Now, we aren't going first, so we could still find an untap land. But this right here is the ultimate test on if these tap lands are any good. Oh my, and our opponent is playing something fast. So they're playing the Hollow One deck? Ooh boy. We did not choose a good time to keep a slow hand. But this is good. This is why we test. Okay, so fetch land and flag. All right, so we absolutely want to play Otherworldly next turn, so we'll play out our Triome, confuse the daylights out of our opponent, but he can really go off next turn. He can Goblin Lore and just start playing Hollow Ones for free. Okay, there's one. There's the Street Wraith. He only needs to discard 2 more cards. There's a second Street Wraith, so now he can just play him for 1 mana, I think? Yep, I'm right. Burning Inquiry. And he threw our Otherworldly Gazes into the bin. Ah, and it's the Vengevine version? Oh boy, we just got dumpstered, and we have no graveyard hate in this deck. Yeah, no, we got nothing. And that's the... is it the game? I mean, I guess we can Thrilling Discovery just to see what happens. But I'm pretty sure that's the game, unless like we find all of our Creeping Chills. So we'll discard Conflag, we'll discard Loam, and Dredger in the top 3? All right, we need Creeping Chills. Ooh, couldn't do that. Creeping Chills? All right, no, so that's 4... Okay, so if they discard anything, we die. But let's see how they do. Oh man, losing turn 1 as Dredge, as you can see here, is possible. It just feels so bad. All right, so just a Neonate. That's not the worst. Is that lethal? Oh, that is lethal. Oh, that's funny. That is exactly lethal. All right, let's see if they see it. Oh, wouldn't you know it? They saw through my ploy. All right. All right. All right. Have your fun. Have your fun. Hey, so maybe the Triomes aren't the best idea. Man, those Triomes were brutal. What do we do now? I guess Prismatic Endings are okay, but like we don't have Graveyard Hate. Normally, Dredge would have some number of Leyline of the Voids, but we don't. And then again, it's not even Graveyard Hate. It's just discarding. This might be a bad matchup. I do think we bring in some number of Prismatic Endings. Let's cut 2 Thugs and a Gaze, and we'll just kind of run it like that. I feel like the Wonders are good in this matchup because flying over them would be good. We get to go first this time, which might be helpful. Now, if they play a Leyline, we just lose. Oh, man. So this is actually a 5-card hand because Wonder and Creeping Chill don't count. But it is 2 lands, a red card, and a Dredger, and you kind of have to keep that. Because we've proven you can mull with this deck, and sometimes you just don't get it. All right, folks, and I can tell you 100% this match is staying in. It is important to see that Dredge is not broken, that it is a fair and balanced deck, and sometimes you just get absolutely dumpstered by your opponent. Oh man, that's so brutal. I guess we have a way to get whatever we want, so let's just get the Triome. Oh man, do we draw? Oh, we do draw it. Okay, now we need to find mana. So what we can do here is go get a Sacred Foundry, and we can go red, blue, Thrilling Discovery, and we get rid of 2 things that don't matter. So Creeping Chill and Wonder, and we're just trying to find lands, and we don't. We need to get to 4 colors of mana to get rid of Leyline. We lost round 1, so there's no more losing. I'm hoping he kept a bad hand based on Leyline. Okay, so he didn't keep a great hand. He kept... It looks like a 1-lander now. He could just be slow rolling us. Doesn't look like he is, because he would do it to deal the extra... Oh, okay. Oh, he's Madnessing in the Root Walla. Okay, so we haven't found land again. We kind of want to make our land drops, so we're gonna just pitch unimportant things again. So Cathartic Reunion, getting rid of Ox, getting rid of Otherworldly Gaze. We didn't find land again. Okay, now I think we've just lost the game. We've dug really deep in our deck. There's only 43 cards left, and we need to find a third and a fourth land. Please don't get rid of Prismatic Ending. We drew and discard 3 more cards, and we didn't find land. Oh man. Oh me, oh my. Well, they did us a favor. They churned through a little bit more of our deck. I do think we're going to die before we can get rid of Leyline, though. I would have thought this guy was playing Artifacts and not Leyline, but shows what I know. Oh man, and they get Tina here. Oh man, we got dumpstered. Yep, go on, hit us right in the face. Oh boy. Oh man, I don't think there's anything we could draw that helps us here. I think this is just game. Because even if we find Creeping Chills, oh man, oh that feels so bad. We got dismantled, and it's because we had the well, maybe it's because we had the Triomes in game 1. Because like having, but the Triomes aren't taking any blue sources either. One was a Blood Crypt. Oh, well, one was actually. One was a Blood Crypt, and I took out the Blood Crypt for the second Triome, and the Teamer Triome was a Steam Vent. So I guess there is a world where we had a Steam Vent and we got to Otherworldly Gaze turn 1. So is that too greedy? I don't know, guys. I realize I just got absolutely destroyed, but I don't feel like it's too greedy. I also feel like I did way too much tuning on this deck before I decided to do a Tune Your Dredge deck episode. But again, I'm looking at this. This is feeling fine. I feel like if we had Nature's Claims in the deck other than the Prismatic Endings, that game would have gone a lot different. I think that's a learning moment where apparently if you go up against Hollow One, bring in Nature's Claims, not Pris Endings. But yeah, that was a brutal beating. So I'll go ahead and we'll go for a fourth one here because that was very quick. And we'll see how we feel. All right, we got one. We played a game seeing who can roll more 2s. It would seem we can roll more 2s, and our opponent gets to play. This is an interesting one. We have a dead card in Creeping Chill, but we also have an Otherworldly Gaze. If this wasn't a practice game, I wouldn't keep, but we're here to experiment, so we'll go ahead and keep, and we'll see if Otherworldly Gaze can find us a Dredger to really take advantage of our Thrilling Discovery and Cathartic Reunion. Oh, we're going up against Burn, which is actually a match I would love to see play out, see how we do against Burn. Land? Ox of Agonis. Well, cat's out the bag, and we're drawing an Ox. This is also a little unfortunate that our mana is going to deal us so much damage. If we find a Dredger here, all's right with the world. We did it. Okay, we have 2 lands, so we don't want any of these lands. Put everything in the bin. So next turn, we get to Stinkweed Imp, and then we get to Thrilling Discovery, and only be down 1 life. Now, worst thing that our opponent could do is play 2 more Goblin Guides. Best thing we could do is find 4 Creeping Chills off the top of our deck. But Burn is a deck I do play in paper. Burn is always a strong deck. If you're just starting out in Modern, and you want to see what it's about, I always recommend building Burn, because it will always be a deck that's viable. Ooh, we got a Bloodstained Mire, which means we can even take significantly less damage next turn by getting our basic mountain, which is good. We'll see how much damage they deal us. They can deal us anywhere from 6 to 3 more damage with that open mana. Let's see what they go for here. Yep, there's a Skewer. It seems like we're taking the full 6. Yep, there's a Lava Spike. They have 3 cards in hand, so normally in a deck like this, we'd be in a pretty bad spot, but luckily we have Creeping Chills if we could just find them. Narcomoeba, not exactly what we're looking for. We're going to have things in play, though, and the Narcomoeba can block Goblin Guide, which is good. We're definitely on defense in this matchup. So we do this way. We only lose 2 life, and we kind of gain it all back with Thrilling Discovery. Discard Stinkweed Imp. What else are we discarding? Really, it's between Ox of Agonis and Bloodghast. I suppose there's a world where we want to Ox next turn, so we'll drop Ox. Stinkweed Imp? Nothing. Golgari Thug? Nothing. Life from the Loam? Narcomoeba. Okay. So we haven't, in the top 30 cards of our deck, we haven't found what we need. And what we need to find are Creeping Chills. We have blockers, though, which is good. Our opponent can just go, like, land, bolt, 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 and just get us. We could also have helped them by putting creatures into play. They could just have Searing Blaze. So we are far from out of the woods. We are at way too low of a life total. Yep, this isn't good. This could be a Searing Blaze. Eidolon. Okay, that's not that bad. They should really attack with a Goblin Guide. Okay, they didn't attack with a Goblin Guide, which means we desperately want to flip a Wonder. We don't do anything in our upkeep. We draw another Ox. So we'll play Sacred Foundry tapped, and then we'll take a damage, and we'll Ox from the grave. All right, we can get rid of all the red cards, and at this point, we really don't need any of the lands either, so we'll start taking out fetches. Yeah, that's good. They really can only deal us at most 3 damage right now. Now, the reason I did this before attacking is because I really want to find Creeping Chills. We also did find Wonder, but we don't have an island right now, which is part of Wonder I kind of keep forgetting. The Creeping Chill is very good, though. So putting us at 11 is a lot better than being at 9. And next turn, we can pull a Life from the Loam and get flying and probably win the game, depending on how much damage our opponent deals us. So we'll do a massive swing. I reckon they'll block with Guide and leave Eidolon in play. Oh no fear from the burn player. They're down to 4. So if we're not just dead next turn, we could just be dead. Because if they have 6 damage in hand, and then 7-8 with Goblin Guide, Ox is still alive. I think the worst thing that could happen is a Searing Blaze. But if they had Searing Blaze, they wouldn't have nipped Arid Mesa when they did. Lightning Helix? Looks like Lightning Helix. Yep, Lightning Helix. So what are they taking out? They go to 1. What are they targeting? They're targeting me. I maybe would have targeted the Ox, because that would have netted more damage in total. And there's already an Ox in the bin. Oh, and they just scoop it up. Okay. So Burn tends to play Rip these days. Oh, they also play Sanctifier. So okay, so we also have Leyline. I think it's Leyline and Priz Endings, and we definitely want all of them. So we gotta nip 6 things. We didn't need Wonder in that game, but I feel like Wonder is still fine. So we'll only take out 1 Wonder and have Wonder as a 1 of fun of. Now 5 other cards. Conflagrate is great. Ox of Agonis is great. Creeping Chill is a necessity. I think it comes down to the Thugs again getting nipped. We somehow have to take 2 more cards out. So, if they get Sanctifier down, we need Wonder to go over Sanctifier. Which actually makes me want to put Wonder back in. How are we doing, guys? Are we doing good? Is this looking like a deck yet? Okay. Boogity, how much time do I have? 1:40. Blah. Thrilling Discovery is good. Maybe we nip a Cathartic Reunion. And then maybe 1 Prized Amalgam and 1 Narcomoeba. Actually, no, I'm going to get rid of another Whirly Gaze. We kind of need Narcomoeba. Okay, we'll run it like that. If we can get an opening hand with a Leyline, that just might be worth it. I don't know if they would expect us to have that. This has no lands. Molly Molly. It's slow, but it has a Leyline. So we'll keep and we'll put Chill to the bottom. And then we'll play this out. And now they have to kill us with creatures. Goblin Guide? Yep. That's the best start they could have had, given that I have a Leyline. Pop a land into our hand. Yay. Okay, so we have the 2 Stomping Grounds in our hand. Wonder. Kind of wish that wasn't there right now. We'll play Arid Mesa and pass through the turn, and then we'll get the blue Triome. Actually, no, that doesn't make sense. We have to get the white Triome in case we find Thrilling Discovery. I mean, if they just have a handful of creatures as well, they just got us. Oof. I'd say what are the chances, but they do play like 12 creatures. And as you'll notice, Dredge has stopped playing Lightning Axe, which would have taken a lot of these out, but I don't even know if you bring in Lightning Axe versus Burn. They really can't, like, bolt. I guess you can bolt yourself. Yeah. No fear from the Burn player, man. Is in it to win it. We take 4, so they're winning the race. Prized Amalgam. Okay, so we'll definitely fetch, because they're out of action anyway. We'll go get the white Triome. So this way, if we draw our red card, we're fine. Gemstone Mine. That gives us life for a little bit longer. Might as well play that out and go green. Who cares? Loam. Pick this up. So our engine is online. Now the question is, can we do anything before their creatures destroy us? Because we really need to find Creeping Chill, one of which is at the absolute bottom of the deck. Actually, we shuffled, but still, this is not the best situation to be in. I think Leyline is not a silver bullet. Also, our opponent's down to 3 cards and is still finding things to do, despite the fact that they can't target us with spells. Oh god, how bad would it be if we have to play a Wonder? I think that goes above playing out Golgari Thug. At least Golgari Thug, you can put a Narcomoeba on the top of your deck. So our opponent's taking a pause here, which leads me to believe they're doing math. Oh, they're done thinking. Thinking time is over. Swinging time is now. All right, best thing that could happen is they pop a land into our hand. Hey, look at that. I will take as many of those out of the deck as possible so we can find better dredgers and better things to do. We go to 10. All right, so we can do this like 4 more times. Pick up Loam. We found a Creeping Chill, which is great. It gives us an entire turn. All right, what do we do now? We could Wooded Foothills, crack Wooded Foothills, go to 12. That might not be the worst thing, because again, we're just trying to get all the lands out of our deck. We're done with lands. Let's go get... Yeah, we're not going to use it for anything, so we'll just go get the Triome. And then we go whatever, and green, and put this back into our hand. All right, we're set up again for next turn. We can also start loaming without using the gemstone mine, and if eventually we hardcast Ox, we hardcast Ox. Somehow the life totals are identical. That's not good. That's really bad. Them getting any number of creatures is awful for us, because now we're back on a 3-turn clock. Bloodghast. Okay, well that's good to know. We'll have some offense soon. Unless they have Searing Blaze in their hand, that would be awful. Pick up Loam. Well, we're gonna have them anyway. If we die to Searing Blaze, we die to Searing Blaze. We need to try and develop our board. Otherwise, we just sit here and die to their creatures. So, we really don't want to take any more damage, so we don't want to play a fetch. So we'll play a Stomping Ground tapped. Yeah, we'll bring Mr. Bloodghast out. Triggering Prized again. Prized is probably going to be on defense, which is not great, but is what it is. And then we go whatever, and green, and Loam for no target. Alright, our opponent untaps. We now have blockers, which is not good for him. Oh, what's our opponent doing? They could just be targeting themselves with more spells. Oh no, it was Searing Blaze. Why are they targeting their own creature with Searing Blaze? We have a Narcomoeba. Okay, so our opponent doesn't know how Searing Blaze works. Because it doesn't target opponent, does it? Oh no, it does target a player. Oh, I didn't know how Searing Blaze worked. Man, look at me, I'm a fake Magic player. So we obviously have to double block here. We're going to block the 2 Swifties. They can still kind of go off and deal a lot of damage with those, and Goblin Guide's a set amount of damage. They're at 9, we have 5 showing at the moment. See, this is why you block the prowess creatures, because now they're going to deal us 4 with the Boros Charm. Oof, that is not good. Okay, well we know there's also a Loam in there. Ooh, and Narcomoeba's great. I actually think we cast Wonder, because if we cast Ox of Agonis, we go into like dying territory. So first thing we do, we go to attacks. We attack with just Bloodghast. Then we cast Wonder. If we win with just a hard cast Wonder, that would be amazing. Couldn't find a way to get it into the graveyard, but yeah, no, we can use it as a blocker, and Stomping Ground tapped. All right, if you kill my Wonder, it will come back stronger than you can imagine. And next turn we even get Gemstone Mine back with Loam, because we're just loaming every turn. A Rip. Oh, that's different. A Rip kind of changes some math here. So if their last card is a Boros Charm, we kind of have to block everything. Got that out the way. Interesting. So how do we block? We want to block in such a way we have the highest chance of killing the most things. I assume they have a Boros Charm, because if we block here and then block there and then chump, then the Boros Charm kills all of our stuff and doesn't kill any of their stuff. So I guess if we do this, this, and this... Yeah, if their last card's Boros Charm, we're just kind of floored anyway. We can deal 5 right now. We can't deal 7. If we draw a Creeping Chill, though, that would actually win us the game. Another Leyline. That's not going to do it. So next turn... Well, we really don't have anything anyway. So if they have Boros Charm as the last card in their hand, we're just dead. So we just swing with Bloodghast. And we just kind of cross our fingers that their last card isn't Boros Charm. We hope that it's just some kind of burn spell. They're digging. Also, if they have, like, 2 more creatures, we're dead. There's a whole bunch of ways we don't survive this. Rift Bolt targeting... Ah, yeah, that also gets me. Nothing we could have done about that. So they go ahead and they beat us for 4, and that's the game. Okay, if they have Rip... What are the chances they also have Sanctifier? I still think it's relatively high. What went wrong that game? We just, like, didn't go fast enough? I mean, we knew we didn't keep that fast of a hand. We kept it because it had Leyline of Sanctity. But do we want to change anything is the question. The Leyline did us a little bit of favors. It kept us alive a lot longer. The Wonder, believe it or not, kept us alive for a minute as well. But is Nature's Claim better than Presenting? No, because I guess the Presenting can also nip creatures. So I think this is the best we can ask for right now. I mean, really, I guess an ideal hand would be 2 mana, a red card, 2 Dredgers, a Leyline of Sanctity, and a Prismatic Ending. That's if we're buying tickets to Magical Dreamland, I want to start with that. No red card. It has a Presenting, but it doesn't really do anything. We're putting a lot of faith in Otherworldly Gaze here, but we'll throw back 1 more. Okay, this is probably fine. Put that back. Put the Triome back. Put the Leyline out. At least this time we have Thrilling Discovery. So we'll play Bloodstained Mire and pass through the turn. We'll go get the Temur Triome on their turn. Okay, we have Conflagrate though, so that's a thing. Hopefully we get to take out a creature or 2 with it, but we'll see. All right, where's my Triome at? Here we are. If we draw a Dredger, we're in the absolute business. Come on, Stinkweed Imp. Another Arid Mesa. Do we just want to pull the mountain out of the deck? Probably. Actually, no, we have to play Sacred Foundry, don't we? So red, white, Thrilling Discovery. Yep. Bring you back to 20, eat my 2 things, and just draw a new grip. That's so bad. Oh no. It's such a bad hand. Well, next turn we're definitely conflagrating. We're definitely taking out as much as we can. So they do that. If they're real smart, they won't. Oh, didn't think so. So now they kind of have to keep that extra spell in their hand. We only get to kill one thing. They probably have a bolt or something. Or do we Otherworldly Gaze? No, I think we take out the creature. We can take out both creatures, actually. No, we can't. We can only take out one creature because they're going to play a spell. So we'll take out the creatures, or take out one creature. Now, even if they have the bolt, they can't save it. And then next turn we have Otherworldly Gaze on our upkeep. Because I'd rather have them have one Monastery Swiftspear than bolt themselves and save their 2 creatures. All right, on our upkeep, we Otherworldly Gaze. Okay, so Life in the Loam. And if we're loaming, we definitely just pitch these into the bin. All right, we need to hit it big. That'll do. That will do it. And then next turn we just start to get gazing or loaming, whatever works for us. Probably works to Otherworldly Gaze for the first little bit to try and find more dredgers, but we're in a pretty decent spot. Unless our opponent rips. If our opponent rips, we're in not a great spot. We're very all in on our graveyard right now. But if we find a prismatic ending, we can get rid of a rip. We have many colors of land. All right, there's their fetch. Just a basic mountain. I think if they attack with Swiftspear, we just let Narcomoeba go, because they have a lot of cards in their hand, and if they give it double strike and then just start beating themselves in the face, that ends pretty poorly for us. Our opponent, I think, has wandered away. He's not doing anything up there, is he? Oh, he's making moves. Skewer targeting the Narcomoeba. Okay, so we take 2 instead of 0. I guess they just get rid of the blockers and keep beating with Swiftspear for as long as they can. Pretty much all their spells just say target creature now. So upkeep, we gaze. Try and find something good. Loam, Bloodghast. We draw Thrilling Discovery and really drive it home next turn. Nah, I think we just pitch it. This gives us something of a reason to cast Loam next turn, though. Or Ox. Ox could be better. We're just going to leave Amalgam as a blocker. We're in no real rush here. Because next turn we Ox for 1,000,000. Yep, they bolt the guy out the way. It's fine. Because now they have to start bolting themselves if they want to do anything. And it'll come back next turn anyway. Pretty much at this point, we're kind of hoping that the Ox of Agonis finds a whole bunch of Creeping Chills. All right, nothing to do on upkeep because we're going to Oxy Boy. Didn't find anything on the first pull. We did find 1,000,000 prized amalgams, actually. I misspeak. Let's get rid of some useless stuff. These ley lines do nothing. This does nothing. That does nothing. That does nothing. Now we need to make decisions. So, Bloodstained Mire, Arid Mesa, Bloodstained Mire. And we still have Stomping Ground in the bin. Cool. All right. These 3 just kind of go away. All right. I think it's just Imp, Imp, Imp. So Imp. Yep, that's 1. That's 2. 2 and 2, not bad. Gaining 6, unless they have a Skull Crack. If they have a Skull Crack, then we feel really silly. Nope, they don't. Okay. All right. We are in a pretty commanding position now. Even if they rip, we're in a pretty commanding position because of what's about to happen. So, I think that's the game. They could have the pro red and black thing, though, which would cause us to kind of stall a little bit. Nope. And that is Dredge taking down Burn. All right. We saw the power of Leyline of Sanctity in that one. That feels good. All right. Let me think for a second if we want to do a 5th game, if we just want to call it a 4. You know what, guys? I'm enjoying myself. Let's go ahead and go for a nice 5. Losing the die roll, as is tradition here. Nope. This is unkeepable. Tempting. Well, let's try. What goes to the bottom? I bet Wonder goes to the bottom. All right. What's our opponent doing? Clearwater Pathway. Oh, this is Ad Naus. Okay, I'm glad we're actually playing against this. You guys are going to see Dredge get dismantled, and I feel it's important whenever I play any of these decks to show you that there are, kind of a rock, paper, scissors in Modern. Ad Naus just eats Dredge. It always has, and in my opinion, unless something drastically changes with either of the decks, it's going to for quite a while longer. So we're going to set up our Otherworldly Gaze here. We'll just put this out, and we'll yield through the turn. But I think they're going to go ahead and play Profane Tutor now. Oh no, just another Serum. But yeah, sometimes in Modern, there's just decks you can't beat. And Ad Naus is just one of them. They essentially are too fast. Okay, well now we want to do this. Steam Vent. Okay, and let's see if we can set up a second land here. Because they're going to take one of the Cathartic Reunions. Okay, we can. Do we want Mana Confluence or Arid Mesa? guess it doesn't really matter because we have Loam. So why don't we go Mana Confluence in the bin, Thug in the bin, leave Arid Mesa on top. They put one of our Cathartic Reunions in the bin. Yep, as expected. And now it goes to our turn, where we will draw the land on top of our deck and go get Stomping Ground, I think. No reason not to. And Cathartic. Discarding Loam and... guess we're discarding Ox. Because next turn we want to Ox. Alright, so Thuggy, Stinky, and Loamy. Gain a little bit of our life back, not that it particularly matters. We didn't find a second Ox, so I feel good in my decision to get rid of the Ox so we can do it next turn, but I think they'll win one turn before we can kill them. Because they should do like a Spoils of the Vault or something, and then I think they win with Thassa's Oracle these days, rather than Wildfire, because Shimmy Spirit God got banned. But yeah, there's Pentide, so it looks like next turn they're going to go off. Profane Tutor, yeah, there it is. Okay, nothing on our upkeep. Please don't draw a free card. I'm begging you. Okay, we drew a land, which is fine. We'll play the land. And then we will Oxy. What are we getting rid of here? Red cards are very easy to get rid of. Wow, there's so many red cards in the bin. And then we just get rid of a fetch and a fetch. Yeah, throw it out like that. They could have Pact of Negation, because they can get just Angel's Grace, which they probably want to do next turn anyway. Oh, no, they're just going to let us do it. So everybody in the pool. And then again, Stinky. Ooh, another Stinky. And now we're down to a Thug. All right, so we do a little bit of damage. I don't think we're going fast enough, though. I think next turn they win. Okay, that goes away. And then we swing with what we have. Just the 4. So they have the 1 Profane Tutor. Now, next turn, they can just play Phyrexian Unlife, and that buys them enough time. Next turn, they can just Angel's Grace and essentially fog us and just win on the next turn. And on game 1, we don't have a lot to interact with them. It spoils from the vault, so we're going to see them win now, I believe. Oh, we won. Our opponent calling out, not a good hand versus Dredge. So that we stole that one. Okay, against these guys. So no longer does Leyline of Sanctity do anything. Thoughtseize, yes, we need Thoughtseize. What do we take out for Thoughtseize? Wonder does nothing. Wonder, straight up a dead card. Are there any other dead cards? Not really. So what do we nip? We can nip 1 Thug. Nip the other Thug. We have 4 Thoughtseizes. We kind of want a Nature's Claim too. So we do this. And then as much as I hate it, we nip the final one of these. We nip one of these. We bring in 2 Nature's Claim. I want a 3rd Nature's Claim at the expense of like an Ox or something. I guess we could do it at the expense of a Bloodghast. So if we just give up on a Bloodghast and put in another Nature's Claim, this might be overboarding, but we somehow won game 1 against Adnaz. All right, no red card, nothing really to do. Got a mull. No lands. Opponent has mulled and kept 6. We're mulling again. Mull again? Okay. We keep 4. So this leaves. Oh man, Nature's Claim leaves. I think Otherworld. I think we take this old school. We take this old school with slightly better lands because we have Triomes. Don't Thoughtseize us. Thank God. If they Thoughtseize us, I was gonna feel so bad. So pretty much we have no turn 1 play unless we draw Thoughtseize off the top. There are 4 in the deck. Thrilling Discovery. Okay, well, play this and pass the turn. We'll probably go get the Teamer Triumph. I feel like the Teamer Triumph is better than the what's that color combination? Not Abzan. The other one, the one that's black, red, white. I don't remember what that's called. So let's go get Ketra. Cool, and untap, and come on, another Dredger. Nature's Claim. That's not bad to have. I think we actually get rid of the Cathartic Reunion. Go get the Steam Vent, not the Steam Vent, the Sacred Foundry. So we can go red and white. And Thrilling Discovery. This gets counterspelled. I feel bad. Oh no! Because we could have Cathartic Reunioned and done it anyway. Oh well. Was trying to gain life. Was trying to be fancy. Now we lose our Nature's Claim and Tide Prism, so they can win next turn. Are they just suspending Profane again? Okay, so that means I think we have 2 turns if they needed to suspend Profane, unless that's just a backup. Okay, so we can Cathartic, or we can other. No, we can't. So I guess we just Cathartic. So just red and red. They can counter this if they want. We get rid of Stinkweed Imp and Otherworldly Gaze. Come on, find a Dredger. Come on, find another Dredger. Okay, can't ask for better than that. Next turn, we probably go on the Ox plan. We might be able to nip an artifact of theirs. Upkeep. Yep, we'll just draw. Don't be a free card. Cathartic. Is Cathartic better than Ox? What do we even get rid of? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We can get rid of a whole bunch. If we Ox instead of Cathartic, we have another thing on the field as a beat stick. If we just Cathartic, we keep Nature's Claim. I don't think Nature's Claim is super important given how it looks like we're pretty behind the 8 ball and we're going to use 2 of our lands anyway. So I think we just Ox. Normally in Dredge, the answer is always Ox. They're the ones that don't matter first. Then just start getting rid of lands. I would rather have the Stomping Grounds. Don't mind. Okay, we'll just get rid of all that. And if this gets cast, this is good. It does. We pitch our hand, and we really dig deep. Not as deep as I would hope. Not nearly as deep as I would hope. That was actually kind of meh. All right, that's not bad, though. I mean, again, given the matchup and given what's going on, this was not a bad kind of it. So they're going to be to 16. And next turn, we kind of hope we can, let's see, deal them. Can we deal them lethal? So 3, 6, 7, 8. No, not quite lethal. And if they're only 1 card down, they can just win with Profane Tutor. There's Profane Tutor. They just get to find literally any card they want. Love that art. Richard Keane Ferguson, you are good at Magic art. Controversial opinion, I know. All right, what are they doing? I have to imagine they have it here. Yeah, they have so much mana. They got to... Ooh, really? Oh, nope, they're doing it now. They're just scrying? Or are they doing the other thing in response? No, they're just scrying. Using Thassa's Oracle as a blocker. Oh, it's throwing out GGs. I don't know if he's... Oh, tutors Thassa, draws Thassa. We stole it. we stole the game against our absolute nightmare. Hey, that's not that bad. Let's go ahead and talk about the wrap-up. Okay, what happened? Deck is running surprisingly well. And it's not even all that related to the deck that the Sam guy, Sam Lewin, I think his name was, ran to a 5-0 finish. We just were puttering around the practice rooms, kind of looking back at the deck, seeing if we wanted to change anything, hopping into games, seeing how it would go. And we played against real decks. 8-Rack, Tron, Mardu Hollow One, Burn, Ad Nauseam. These are all real decks. These are all things that you will run into out on the scene, and that's why I love the practice rooms. You know, you're not just going to go up against Murktide a million times or, you know, Trampling Rhinos. You'll play against different things. And also I find that when you play in LGSs, you do tend to go against a wider meta. It's not just the top of the decks all the time. But getting back to Dredge, it's doing okay. Now, Wonder, I think, is cute. Would I run Wonder as a 2-of in my Dredge decks going forward? No. I think this is a 1-of. I think this is a 1-of fun of. I don't think you should really plan your entire battle around it. If Anger was in Modern, I think that would be a much better combo. You really have to give up a lot to run Wonder in your deck. You have to run a really, really clunky mana base. As seen here, you have to you have to kind of mold your entire plan around maybe giving your guys flying, and maybe that helps. But if you still want to play your Bloodghast, you still want to play your Life from the Loams, you don't want to go out and buy all those rainbows, this version of Dredge is still viable. And I think if you just tune your sideboard to your play style and your local meta, and you tune the deck like I did to your personal preference, I mean, if we look at the original deck, it has very little to do with where I ended up. But I'm having fun, I'm playing Dredge, and Dredge is still doing fine. But please still remember the game we had against Hollow One, where I got absolutely destroyed. That can happen, and you do have to be okay with maybe just getting hated out all night. But thanks again, guys, for coming along for the ride. I've been Brian, and I will catch you next week for something fun. This is my Magic channel, and I just do things that interest me. If you have something you want to see me play, put it down in the comments. Please like, comment, and subscribe. It's nice to see those numbers go up. This channel is not going to be monetized anytime soon, so don't worry about that. And I will catch you all next week.